Okay guys, in this video we'll be recreating Slither.io, a snake multiplayer game. So I had a multiplayer series on this, but that's kind of lengthy, difficult and outdated. With Rocket Networking, it's like way too easy. So let me just show you how this works. Okay, so this is the single player version of it. It's just, how Snake is built. And this is that smooth snake-like movement that we all want. So I'll show you guys how it's done. I have a room here, with a viewboard and all that. And I've put this object here called O head. It's the head of the snake. And as the length increases, what happens is we keep adding this thing called bone. This is the other, and the bones keep kind of following each other in a trail. Okay. So how that works is I have a health variable. This kind of tells us the length of the snake. Yeah, that's the length of the snake. And this snake array in O head tells us about the various bones which are there. O head. So, the first element in our snake is O head. Then comes O bone. Then another O bone, another O bone. There's some other code here too, but sure. Anyways, so now basically this array needs to adjust itself according to this variable. So in the step event, I have um I have some code here which does that. So if the snake array, so if our actual body is smaller than the health, so the now we need to add a bone, right? So I'm creating a bone. So var bone equals instance create layer or bone, and I'm pushing it to that snake array which was there here. So it's O head comma an instance ID of O bone, and in the middle I'm doing something here. I'll talk about this too. Now, what if our health is lesser than the length of the snake? So the snake is too big. You have to kind of destroy something. So what it does is we just instance destroy the last element of the snake array and it pops it out too, so we're good on that front. And then we have some code which kind of moves the head closer to the mouse with some speed, direction, and, that's set the position to camera to center it, and also there's this global color thing that's really not relevant to us. Now what happens, okay, now you've seen that this snake array is being stacked up. Now how does the following actually happen? So in OBone, we have a create event and there are two variables here. One is front. So what this front is supposed to represent is the thing in front of it. So of course in front of this bone there's going to be another bone, or it might just be O head in the snake array. So what happens is when we make a new bone, we set the bone dot front to the last element of the snake array which used to be there. So if we have like O head and O bone and we have to add another bone, it takes that second element which is O bone and that ID. So it kind of takes the bone in front of it and just notes it down as that bone. That's what I'm doing here. And then the new bone is pushed onto the array. So every bone knows what's in front of it basically. And here I have a variable called tendon. So tendon is biologically, I guess, the tissue that holds two bones together, and that's kind of like the length between bones is what I meant it to be. And this alarm 0, I kind of use it as a step event actually, but yeah, this part is the step. This is the step event code. Does this alarm again and again, and this is again the color thing. Now, what to do with the bone in front? If there is a bone in front, a valid bone, and if that front bone is whatever is in front of us is farther than the tendon, so it's greater than 10 pixels away, take your X and take your Y of this bone and get it closer to the bone in front. That's it. So we have an O head. So the first bone follows O head, and then the second bone follows the first bone, and so on. So I can set the health to just 1. Then it would be, you know, just a single bone, just the overhead. Yeah. Now I can set it to 2. You won't be able to see it so well actually, because the tendon is, if I make the tendon length big, you can. But yeah, I can see a little thing. And I can set it to something big now. So let's say 20. And this is actually very taxing on your GPU. Yep. So that's the smooth snake-like moment we all dream of. And for fun, I just put 500 ones. This is kind of burns my laptop, but I like it. So you guys can see, wow, that's a 500 length snake. That guy is big. So in the next tutorials, we'll cover how to make this multiplayer. Okay, now let's do the rocket networking stuff. And let's go to rocketnetworking.net, and I've given the website a totally new feel, so you can get the template like on the, oops, okay, my school Wi-Fi doesn't actually allow it, but it's on the marketplace. And then I've kind of made it totally, I made it a better website really. And here we have the sign in. So you have to scroll down, make an account with us, and it's totally safe. We don't take any of your personal information. We don't want it. Just want to help you create multiplayer games. So yeah, that's my email, and I think I set some password. Yep. So this is like I'm on the free plan now. So you can, yeah, you just have to get on the free plan. It's totally free of cost. You can get up to 10 concurrent clients on it. But, for production purposes, you should go for a paid plan. And that's how I'll keep the service running, right? Or else, I don't know. So you want to copy that secret key, and then, oh, so yeah, you gotta get the template first. So you'll download it as a YYMPS file, and then import local package. I think it's in my downloads. Yeah, I've downloaded it too many times. Just add everything, import, and then you want to go to scripts, rocket networking options, and change the server ID to whatever we have here, and even the shared properties. Um, that's just a joke. So yeah, okay. Now, once we start our game, the first thing we need to do is connect to the server, right? So you want to say connect to server. Fine. And after you do this, this callback function is called. Yeah, so as I was saying, after we connect to the server and we successfully do connect, this function is called. So when I actually, let's see what's there under this connect to server. So it's going to actually show this message, you are connected with client ID. So let me just put welcome here to show you that, yeah, that's what indeed happens. And before all this, yeah, you should put the O-brain in a room, rocket networking O-brain. So there's 3 things you gotta do. Get rocket networking, set your secret key, put O-brain in the room where your multiplayer thing starts. Put it in the first room. It's a persistent object, so you're good. And then just call connect to server. And now I should be able to connect. Oops, it's still in 500 mode. That's crazy. Okay. And oops, yeah, my school again doesn't allow connecting to this kind of stuff um, on their Wi-Fi, so I kind of have to use my own. So doing that now. switched on my phone's hotspot, and there we go. Okay, now let's run the game. Yep, it says welcome, you are connected with client ID. So that client ID is like very technical stuff, but the point is you have in fact connected to the server. So that's cool. If you made it till this far, you're on the right track. So firstly, let me just change that bone. Yeah, this cannot be, yeah, let's start with a simpler length. Okay, let's start with 20 as the length. Now, how do we make ourselves on the server? So for that, you have this thing called global.shared properties, which you saw here. Now for simple games, this is all you need. But because we have, all those bones and stuff, we will use the oh my entity object. So let me just start with the global.shared properties. That was my phone, sorry. So now when we go to oh head, yeah. Now with this, every step event, let's do some multiplayer stuff. So we're gonna set global dot shared properties to the x position and the y position. So I'm gonna put the underscore x. Yeah, so these are like the coordinates of the head. And now, this is the thing in rocket networking, everything is symmetrical. So as you have made yourself, and yeah, before all this, once we did this in all our previous videos too. Now that we have done connected to the server, instead of showing this message, let's actually join a room with other players in it. Well, there are no other players now, but there will be soon. So change room, we want to say change room and set the room ID to public. Okay, and then this function is called. So it's connecting to the server, then it's changing the room, and once the room is changed successfully, it's gonna say the new room you joined is this. Okay, so yeah, and let me just go to shared properties as I was doing it, and yeah, so it just shares x as your head's x and y as your head's y. So now thing is, you can easily create the other player in other player, and you don't have to worry about the creation or any of that stuff. You just have to worry about the variables you made. So there is some preloaded code here, and try to put your code in this bracket because it's, and yeah, it should always be within a try except. This is only because there can come reading errors, then there can come problems. So just try to put a try catch thing. Try catch error. That's it. Maybe we can do a show debug message e. Okay, and now this is the other player. So every other snake. What do we do for every other snake? We want to read that shared properties x, like we just created for ourselves, and like we created x and y, we want to read that for the other player, and also set that to their x and their y. So in fact, let me change this to the sprite of the head. This is the head sprite. So now I'm going to change to HTML file because it's easier to load tabs there as different layers. Yeah. Also, something really cool is, yeah, you joined public. Something really cool is, this is why we actually gave you this root structure. I don't want to say anything else here, but there's a node here called activity. This activity tells you all the active rooms. So there's a room here called public, and in that public there is client called 0, because no, wait, yeah, there is client. That's the whole point of it. So this kind of activity, it tells you what's going on in your game. So anyways, let me have this here, and oops, and yeah, let me make a small change here because it's hard to control your player otherwise. So in my head code, the speed is equal to 2, right? Let me just change that to if point 200, only then move the wait, no, if it's lesser than 200, only then move the player. Then set the speed to 0. Then set the speed to 2. Otherwise, just don't move the player, man. Okay? And my internet is excessively slow. I'm so sorry about that, but I hope it's just enough to demonstrate to us what I'm trying to show. So yeah, the new room you joined is public. Okay, now it just stays. Wow, that's so cool. It just stays there. Nice. Now let's make another snake, and that guy is gonna show up. So yep, there you go. You can see this other snake as something, and he's moving, and it's very laggy. That's because of my internet connection. And wow, my internet is pretty bad. Okay, but now the let's make it a lot better now. So basically, game is also a bit taxing on the CPU, and that's there. So now let's do some other stuff like, yeah, firstly, other player, I'm gonna scale it up. So, personal variable. Now, we have bones, right? Now, for every bone that is made, what I want to do is attach an entity to it. You guys understand? So, every time you create a bone, let's also create an entity. So, to create an entity on your side, an entity is like it's like any other object other than that stuff we shared. So your main player, if you have a tiny game, you can make do with shared properties. But if you have like bullets, guns, cars, NPCs, other stuff that appears on your screen that you want to appear on other people's screens, you want to use entities. So you can initialize. Got it? So let me just go ahead and give all my entities the sprite that we wanted to have, just a circle. And same with all other places. This is what is created on other people's screens. When you make an entity, this is created on other people's screens. When others make an entity, this is created on your screen. It's very similar to all other players. There's some kind of shared properties that you have to deal with, if you know what I'm saying. So anyways, S circle, yeah. And now, what we're gonna do is we have to let's do some management first. Yeah. So this entity will be that. Now, this entity. So yeah. Now let's go to the entity sharing system. In the entity sharing system, you can have the step event entity properties. So in the entity properties, we don't want to put it here. I'll just do it in Obon. In Obon, for the entity properties, I'll put, so I have this entity, right? Now, this entity dot entity properties is equal to, yeah, I can add stuff here. So underscore x is the x coordinate, underscore y is the y coordinate, and that's pretty much it. Now that I've added this stuff to our bone entity, and yeah, now when this bone breaks, so when this bone is destroyed, you also want to destroy that entity. So in other, sorry, where is that? Destroy event, yeah. You also have to destroy instance destroy what would I call it? This entity. This entity. Cool. So now we are creating and destroying the bone if it is destroyed. So there are no extra entities created. Okay. And now you wanna just like we did for other player, you want to read the shared properties. In this case, it's entity shared properties, and in the step event, you want to okay, yeah, here it is. So in all other players entity, you want to set x to ep.x and y to real ep dot underscore y. Okay. Also, let me put my phone on charge because I think this is this is like the only way I can get better internet. Because if your phone is charging, it's kind of better, right? So yeah. Okay, cool. Now that's pretty much it. The creation and deletion of everything else is handled for you by Rocket Networking. So let me just run this and see how it's working. I have a lot of lag, so okay, wait. I have a lot of lag, so I can't promise anything crazy just because of the lag. I mean, the code is perfect enough, as good as it gets. And yeah, the new room you joined is public and cool. Now let's have it here too. The new room you okay. What was the issue? Okay, so basically I was getting an error here, and you don't really have to send the um, entity ID, but although it's good to have it. So let me just wrap this part with a try and accept. Sorry, try catch, right? Yeah, and it's because sometimes, as I said, stuff goes out of hand, and it may happen because of wrong timing, and we don't really get to control it all the time, and that's okay. So now I set to Windows to kind of debug what's going on. It's not bad, it's not good. Yeah. So yeah, the new room you joined is public. Cool. Okay, was there a snake there before? Maybe I've not deleted a tab or something, but yeah. And now I do the same thing here, and you see I've kind of created that other snake, and oh my god, it's trying so hard to share the data, but it's lagging so badly. Oh my god. Okay, so firstly, I kind of corrected the whole thing with my server. So I kind of fixed my internet connection, or I'm hosting my server locally. So if you live in US East, or yeah, East USA, or even EU, it's going to be very fast fixed. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm on the other side of the world, literally. Anyways, I'm taking the sprite off for my entity because it was pointless. And now let me restart the game. It was actually pretty fast. Yeah, let's kill this one. Okay, and restart both of them. So yeah, now it says new join is public. So it's fast. It's really fast. So there you can see we have flawless quick multiplayer snake loading, and in the next videos we'll see how we can improve this, add color to the snakes. It's fairly simple, and if you've seen other rocket networking videos, you should be able to do this on your own. But there's stuff like getting killed by snakes, having that glowy stuff that you eat and your length becomes bigger. So we'll have to work on that. That's it. Everything else, it's pretty simple. So we'll see that in the next tutorial.